Hiya! Hope you're all doing well. I'm just going to give it a few minutes for people to join. But tonight we're talking about cats that wake you up at night and cat behaviour at night. All those annoying things that are really annoying and are difficult to manage. So that's what you have. I'm on my mobile today because I'm trying a vertical live. So if I'm ignoring comments, then please let me know. I will try and keep my eye out, but I can't see any chat section. If I'm hoping they just pop up, but if not, then I don't know. Let me know. Like if you're watching, then can you comment so that I can see it? Hopefully it will pop up. Oh, hi Said. Yes, okay, perfect. The comments are popping up, so that's good. So hello, welcome to this live. I'm a cat behaviourist. Oh hi TJ, hello. I'm Lucy, I'm a cat behaviourist. I've been a cat behaviourist for coming up for 16 years. So I am really experienced with this problem and lots of other problems. And my cat, not this one, but this one, does have a habit of waking me up at night. So I do know what you're going through. Thankfully, it hasn't got too bad. Oh, hi. So thank you for joining and commenting. So I have some questions already sent ahead, but if you are looking to ask questions about your own cat, you want to tell me about your cats, then please feel welcome to do so in the chat. I can see it, so yeah, we can chat about that. That would be cool. But basically, I'm just gonna take you through what I think is helpful, and hopefully you'll be able to apply some of that to your cats at home if you're having this problem. Oh, thank you for taking care of these beautiful angels. I know these cats, like, I posted a video this week about there are no bad cats, and I really mean it. Even like the ones you see online, which they look scary, they look horrible, they're not bad. They're just trying to make sense of life in our world. And I think nighttime behaviour, like the disturbances they do at night sometimes, falls into that as well, because when you're lying in bed at night and you just want to get a good night's sleep and your cat just will not stop meowing, jumping on you, like they're unsettled, they're restless, they're pacing around, it can feel like they've just got it in for you. It can feel like they're doing it on purpose. They've got a grudge against you. You know, there's a reason for it that feels like it's personal, but I can guarantee it isn't, because like cats have this reputation, don't they, of being aloof and uncaring, and I don't think that's true. However, I do think that they don't care about us as much as we think they do. Like they're not trying to wake us up on purpose to be mean. They're not trying, like they don't have a grudge against us. They're not trying to be spiteful. So one thing I would start with by saying is, like, I tend to split this problem into two halves. So the first half is like a cat's natural behaviour. So when we think about what sort of behaviours we're seeing at night, it's stuff that generally would fall into a natural cat's behaviour. So they are supposed to be awake at night, like they're crepuscular, which means that they are not nocturnal, because obviously that would mean they're asleep all day and awake all night, but crepuscular is when they're most active at dusk and dawn. So that makes sense, because they do all their hunting at that time and they do sleep at night, and they obviously do sleep a lot during the day as well. So when we take into account that they are going to be most active at dusk and dawn, well, that's exactly what we're seeing. It's stuff like, you know, when you're when you're sound asleep, they're waking up at 4 a.m. trying to wake us up, and that's natural for them. They're supposed to be doing that. Hello, if you're just joining, we're talking today about cats disturbing people at night. So do feel free to say hi in the chat or let me know about your cats. But yeah, so it is natural for them to be doing that stuff. The reason why all cats don't do it is because they do tend to match with our schedules as time goes on. Like, they learn quickly from us. And if you have a cat that sleeps all day when you're out at work, and when you come back after work, they are awake and they're active and they're happy and they want to play and they want to be with you. And then when you go to bed, they go to sleep again. That's perfect. They've adapted to that. They're matching your activity, and then they're up with you in the morning ready for breakfast. So they've learned that. That isn't natural. That is not their natural rhythm. They are adapting to our life. So if your cat doesn't do that, then they haven't made that switch. They're still on that sort of natural schedule for them where they're going to be awake at night anyway. So remember that, because what happens is there will be times when they are just naturally awake, and you'll see stuff like meowing, you'll see stuff like they're not settling because they're wide awake, so they might be trying to play with stuff, they might be trying to get your attention because normally you're awake and they want to engage with you, they want to get that attention from you, be it like affection, stroking, cuddling, or play, and even just chatting to them and being with them. So they might try to get that from you because they have that from you during the day. Also, you might just notice that they're playing on their own, like they're playing with toys, or they're getting themselves up to mischief because the house is quiet and there's nothing else for them to do. This is particularly true if your cat is an indoor cat as well, because if your cat has 24/7 access outside, then I imagine at night when they do have that burst of energy, they can just go out, and that's okay. So it's tricky. It's tricky in terms of making sure that you don't overthink what's happening, because if you find that your cat's naturally awake overnight and they're doing any of these behaviors, the very first time this happens, we need to remember that it's normal and that there's nothing that we don't need to overthink it, because what tends to happen is that we think, what's wrong? Why are you awake at 3 a.m? Why are you crying? Why are you meowing? Why aren't you settling down? Why are you not asleep? The rest of the house is quiet. And so then we get up and we give them food, we give them attention, we hang out with them. So this is when we come to the other side of things, which is making sure that we're not reinforcing this problem and changing it into a really long-standing issue that's very, very difficult to overcome. So it's really important to think, like, if you've been dealing with this problem for a long time, you can almost split it into two different things as well. You can split it into the underlying cause of why it very first happened on that very first day, and what's happening now. Now you're months down the line, I'm guessing, where your cat just will not let you sleep, because you'll probably find that the initial cause has gone, but you're now dealing with a learned behaviour. So then it's very difficult to unpick. So a few things in terms of like why your cat might be waking you up initially is that they might be poorly. So it's important, if this is a new issue, that your cat suddenly started vocalizing at night, then make sure to have a check over with your vet. So one of my cats, Sparks, he does have a habit of waking me at night. He has always randomly just meowed at night. And again, I'm just putting that down to the fact that he's awake, the house is quiet, and he's just entertaining himself. But as he's got older, he has started vocalizing way more, really loudly as well. But it only ever lasts for a few minutes, and I just leave him to it. I just know that he's okay, he's got everything he needs, and I don't need to worry about him. However, we've been keeping up to date with his vet checks anyway, and he is diabetic, and the vet did float the idea of feline dementia a year or so ago, but I'm not so sure about that one. But that is, like, if there's a genuine medical reason for it, then it makes sense for them to be awake at night. And so there's very little you can do in terms of trying to resolve that other than treat the medical problem itself. Hello, if you're joining, I'm Lucy, I'm a cat behaviourist. So we're talking today about nighttime behaviour. So yeah, so definitely medical reasons is a good thing to rule out initially, because if your cat's poorly and you just focus on the behaviour itself, you won't resolve it, and you risk making your cat's physical health worse by not getting any treatment for that. So yeah, that is something that is very difficult to overcome. And if your cat is poorly, if it's something that sort of isn't going to resolve itself, like feline dementia, it's just a case of helping them cope and helping them settle, making sure they're comfortable, making sure they know where they are and they haven't really got any opportunity to wander off and get themselves lost. When the house is dark and there's nothing really going on, you can understand why a cat might feel confused, a bit disorientated, all of these symptoms of feline dementia. So we need to take very good care of those cats specifically. So once you've ruled out medical issues, then we want to think about their basic needs as well. So are they hungry? That is something that I often think about, and we all often think about as well. You know, like if they're meowing at night, the first thing we think is, oh, do they need some food? So if you're thinking that that's the case, in the middle of the night, don't get up and feed them, because then you're causing a problem later down the line. Like, you're making a rod for your own back. They're going to want feeding in the middle of the night forever, and you're setting yourself up for that. So don't do that. But you want to make sure that the next night that you make sure that there is either food available or you know they're not hungry. So give them some food before bed, or you can leave food down overnight. Like if your cat is one of those cats that doesn't gorge or overeats and regulates their food okay, then you can feed ad lib, like you can leave the food down all the time and let them help themselves. And I would make sure that's there overnight as well. So if that's the case, you can rule out the fact that they might be hungry, and then later on it's easier to ignore them if they are meowing, because you're like, okay, I know you've got food and I know I don't need to get up and feed you. I think my heart just sinks when I am working with someone with this issue. And of course, they've tried everything because they're exhausted by this problem. And they say, I get up and feed them and then I go back to bed. Because I think, oh no, we're never going to overcome this now, because it's such a massive reward that, of course, the next night they're going to be like, yes, all I have to do is like meow and then I get food. And that's not them being like manipulative or like mean. It's just simple learning. Like if I meow at 3 a.m., my owner jumps up, gives me a bowl of food and then goes back to bed. So that's something. So you could also think about using a feeder that opens on a timer. So if they wake you up at the same time every night, then maybe just a little bit before or around that time, you can set a feeder to open with a little bit of food. It can be their regular, like part of their daily allowance of food, if you like. You don't have to feed them more, but you can make sure that it's going from like the last meal of the day to the morning is a long time, and cats tend to eat little and often. So you can see why they might be like, it's been like 10 hours and I need some food. So yeah, just think about that in terms of like making sure that they're not going to bed hungry, or like the morning's not coming around and they're like, come on, I need that. Because this is a prime reason why, or a very common reason why your cat will wake you up early. So they might sleep all night, but then when they get up in the morning, they're desperate for you to get up and get their breakfast. And if it's the first thing you do when you get out of bed, like you get up and you give them their breakfast, which like a lot of people do, of course they're going to try and get you up earlier. Of course they're going to think, oh, maybe like yesterday it was 7, but maybe today you might get up at 6:30, or whatever it might be. So be really mindful of this. And if it is the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, stick to that consistent timing. Set an alarm, like 7 a.m. is breakfast time, or whatever time works for you, but stick to that, because the moment you give it to them a little bit early, then in their mind, they've put, what you've done there is shifted the control from you, or thinking, I feed them at 7 a.m. to them, when they're thinking, oh, okay, I need to prompt you to get the food. This is now my responsibility. So I will now wake you when I'm ready for my food. So this is how people get into the problem of their cat waking them so early. Hi, Venom Man, hello. Thanks for joining. We're talking about cats, as you could probably tell. So yeah, that is a massive problem, and this one is all on how you manage the feeding schedule. So make sure it's not the first thing you do when you wake up, and make sure you put it on it's your responsibility to feed them at a time when you're ready. Don't make it their responsibility to prompt you to get that, because that's a big change. Then there's other reasons why they might be waking you at night, is that they are they're bored. And like I say, like their natural rhythm is to wake up during the night, and the house is quiet and dark, so they may need stuff to do. So especially if you've got a young kitten, you might find that their behaviour is particularly annoying because they're full of beans and they just want to play. So I had a question from one of our subscribers to ask about cats that hunt feet under the cover, and which normally happens overnight, but it can happen during in the morning when you're trying to lay in or when you're trying to get to sleep. And this is particularly problematic with kittens as well, because what they're essentially doing is hunting something, like a hidden something under the duvet. So any movement under the duvet is going to prompt them to catch it. They're going to be stalking. You're going to see all those behaviours that fit with hunting. So they'll stalk, they'll do that little wiggly bum thing, they'll pounce, and they'll try to catch you. So that some people enjoy that, and that's fun, and it isn't a problem until your cat gets older, and then it really is a problem. And if your foot is sticking out of the duvet or over the edge of the bed, you can see why a kitten would see that from the ground and be like, oh, I'm going to pounce on that and I'm going to get that. So there's never any malice with this behaviour. They're never trying to hurt you. They're never trying to be unkind. It's always at least at the beginning, a playful behaviour. And like play is the same as hunting. And that's sometimes can get confusing because you're thinking, well, are you being predatory, i.e., like, are you trying to hunt me and are you trying to hurt me? And that comes with a whole load of feelings of like, you don't like me, you want to kill me, you want to hurt me. But really, it's the exact same thing as play, because you will see these exact same behaviours like wiggly bum, pouncing. That's also what you see when they play. So just keep that in mind. It's not personal. It's something to catch, and it's really fun because as soon as they grab that foot, you're pulling it back under the cover, and it's the most fun thing ever. So just keep that in mind. What I would say about this is it's a case of making sure that you're protecting your feet as much as possible. So try not to poke them out the edge while you've got this problem going on. Keep them well tucked under. Don't encourage it, because lots of people love to encourage this problem, like moving their feet around underneath on purpose, which isn't, like, I'm not saying don't do it at all, but this is a potential fallout from that your cat might do it when you don't want them to. So just be mindful. And the biggest thing about this is don't get cross, because this is when it changes from being playful into being more serious. And not that they would suddenly think, I need to kill you because you've told me off. Hello, thanks for joining. Feel welcome to tell me about your cats in the comments. We're talking about cats keeping people awake at night. So yeah, if your cat is catching your feet under the covers, then you want to make sure that they can't do that. And if you get cross at them, then they are suddenly gonna, as well as the play, we're mixing in a whole bunch of emotion with that. We're mixing in fear, we're mixing in like anxiety, like I want to catch this, but why are you doing this? Why are you telling me off? Like that whole side of things, we don't want to introduce that as well. We just want to deal with the play. We don't want to deal with fear, aggression, or anxiety that comes with it. So keep that in mind when you're trying to manage this problem. Protect your feet, wear some thick socks if you can, keep them under their covers, don't encourage it, and redirect. Keep a big stash of toys nearby if you need to, just while they're young, just while this is a problem. And so you can redirect them onto something. So the moment you see their eyes like locking on or about to lock on to your feet and you know they're in that playful mood, get them engaged in something else, because that's the biggest way to help with that problem. So if this is happening in the middle of the night when you're sound asleep, then there may be more to it, because again, we might be in more of like a learnt side of things. Like I've done this every night since I was a kitten. It's the most fun thing to do at night. We want to make sure that there is other things they can engage with. There are other toys to play with. There are I was going to say other cats, but that other cats only really applies if you have two kittens together. Like you've got two really young kittens from the same litter is ideal, and they can play with each other. So if you're thinking about getting a kitten and you're worried you might have a problem with them waking you at night, get two, because yeah, they might wake you because they're running all over the house, but you can just turn over and go to sleep. Like they're fine, they're happy. The problem comes when they've got no one to play with and nothing to do, and they're awake and they're just at a loose end. And so you start seeing that behaviour where they might chase your feet under the duvet or launch themselves on you from the top of the wardrobe, and they start doing those really deliberate behaviours to try to wake you up. And I'm sure you know exactly what I mean, because people say to me like, he scratches the side of the duvet or side of the bed and looks at me, and as if to say like, look what I'm doing, and it makes you jump up straight away. So again, we're going back to that learnt behaviour, that learnt side of things, where they're like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to scratch this because I did it last night and you jumped up and gave me all the cuddles in the world, or at least gave me a bit of a stroke while you told me to stop. So we need to be mindful of what we're doing. I'm just going to swig my tea. Oh, I hope your cats are all doing well. Fig's curled up on me. No, I don't know if you can see him here. He's being adorable. So other reasons why they might wake you up. So we've had medical, we've had being hungry, we've had they're bored and they need stuff to do. And the other one or another one is, are they worried about something? Is there something either inside or outside your home that's causing them any stress or anxiety? Because this can be another reason why they're not settling and they're sort of, awake. So if it's something outside your home, then there's normally not much you can do to get rid of that, because like a common one is like wildlife. Thankfully around here, we don't really get anything outside, but I know people have badgers, there are foxes, Depending on what part of the world you're in, you might have different wildlife out there that is maybe noisy or comes right up to close to your home and can scare your cat from like who's inside. So there's not really much you can do about that. I guess you could sort of protect your garden or like enclose your garden a little bit more if your garden allows for that. But you might not want that, might you? You might want the wildlife to come in. So sometimes it's more about shielding your cat from this stuff from the inside. Thanks for joining. Feel welcome to chat about your cats in the comments because we're talking about cats waking at night. So yeah, you can shield your cat inside from whatever's going on outside. So window frosting is a good idea, like the sticky back frosting you can just put over the bottom of your windows. Thick curtains to try and shield some of that noise as well as the view out there. It may be a case that your cat, there's a certain room that your cat might not be able to access at night. Like that might not work for some cats because they might be like, I need to be in this room. But sometimes if you've got like bifold doors in your kitchen, it might be worth maybe not letting your cat go in the kitchen at night because they're finding it scary. Oh, that's probably a good point to mention. If you close your cat in the kitchen at night, then that can be potentially very scary because of that reason. The kitchen tends to be the place in your home that cats feel most vulnerable because it is the place where normally the back door is, the cat flap might be. If you've got big windows there or big bifold doors, they tend to be there too. So try not to close them in those areas. They normally are most comfortable, like in the bedroom, in the living areas, like where they can properly snuggle down and get settled. So have a think about what's outside your home because that might be a factor. Another thing that may potentially be causing stress and anxiety at night is things inside your home. So probably the most common reason for this is the other cats that they live with. So if you have two cats that don't get on so well, then you might find that they struggle to manage at night because you're not there to sort of facilitate them. And there could be tension when they cross paths. They might not know where to settle, or they might feel a bit anxious of being like, oh, is that other cat going to come past? And do I need to worry about that? So for this is all about managing the territory, which I'll go into in so much detail in other videos. So I won't go into too much detail there. So find a video about helping cats get along because that will help your problem at night as well. So, but here we're making sure that both cats have an easy opportunity to settle at night because we don't want any competition for beds. And when I say beds, you might think, God, I've got like cat trees everywhere. I've got beds. The whole house is transformed into cat land. But what I would say is that your bedroom will be particularly important here because what you'll probably find is that your cats love you and they want to be with you at night. But if they don't get on, then they might struggle to do that. They might sleep on the bed but actually be like not really comfortable sharing with you. They want you to themselves, or they want the bed to themselves. They don't want two cats on the bed. So then I would think about what stuff you've got around you to help them settle. So I'm always really embarrassed to admit this, but I don't mind, is that next to my pillow on my actual bed, I have like a homemade cat bed, which is a little toddler duvet I sewed together lovingly, put it in its own little case, and then it's right next to my pillow so that like the Fig sleeps there. He sleeps there every night and Sparks is under the duvet. So there's no competition for spaces because they have their own little spaces. So you could think about having a cat bed near the bed, a raised bed. You could have a radiator bed if you've got a radiator nearby. You could, I mean, it depends on what works for you. I've met somebody that had the whole top of their bedside table they made into a cat bed, which is commitment, and I love that. So have a think about that. From your cat's point of view, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that they can settle. So, okay, so I think off the top of my head, those are all the reasons I can think of as to why your cat might be woken up at night. Well, all the main ones anyway. Obviously, all cats are different. They'll be worried by different things. They'll be interested in different things. Everyone's environment is different as well. So if you have, like, so for example, if you have a dog, like that could be impacting your cat as well. Like it might be waking them up, or it might, again, they might be finding it difficult to settle. There could be any other reason. It could be the people in your home. It could be if you've got building happening next door. Like, just think of the world from your cat's point of view and think about whether there's any way or anything that might be potentially waking them up and stopping them from settling initially. Okay, so once you've figured out why your cat is initially waking up, and remember this might be months ago, because if you've been dealing with this problem for a long time, we're thinking about the very first time that they woke up. it is useful to pinpoint that because you're future-proofing the problem again from happening again. But now I would give some thought to why it won't get better. Because you might think, well, yeah, we did have a fox hanging out in the garden, but now that fox doesn't come around anymore. Or like I did have two cats that hung out together, but they get on fine now. So now have a think about what's potentially reinforcing that behavior, like what's keeping them from waking you every night. What have they learned from how it's gone over the past few weeks or months? So what normally happens is that, like I say, they're awake at night for any of these reasons we've covered, and now we've reacted in a way that means they're going to do it again the next night. And that's probably because we've said, are you okay? Like, what do you need? And we've got out of bed, we've engaged with them, we've hung out with them. Some people literally have said to me that they've gone downstairs, put the kettle on, turned on the lights, they put kettle on, have a little hangout with the cat. After 10 minutes, half an hour, they've gone back to bed. And so, and they've been happy with that. They've said, I don't mind doing that every night. That's just what I do now. But you can see why that problem will never improve. That will be a routine for life for that person and that cat, because all the while that person is willing to do that, it's all in the cat's interest for them to do that. That's amazing for them. They're loving to have that bond and that time with them overnight, because that just sounds really good. But again, that cat has learned, if I do X, Y, and Z, if I meow, if I paw at your face, if I launch myself at you from the wardrobe, top of the wardrobe, then you will get up and you will engage with me, and that is a good thing for me. So you must think about how you're reacting to your cat. So you'll probably have read online that the advice is to just ignore them. And I know how hard that is, because we're talking about cats waking up at night. So the common advice is just to ignore them. But how hard is that? And is that even ethical? Like, that's the other side of things. Is it okay to just completely ignore your cat when they're meowing all night long? So there's a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, is you must make sure all your cat's needs are met. You must make sure they're not poorly, they're not hungry, they're not bored. Like, you must cover all those initial base things, because otherwise it's not ethical, is it? It's not ethical to ignore a cat that's actually poorly and is crying because they're in pain, or they're finding it uncomfortable, or they're confused or disorientated. Like, we need to help them, but in the same way, we need to make sure we're doing it in a way that's not going to mean tomorrow it is repeated. So make sure all your cat's needs are covered. Then what I would say, and what I do is, because obviously my cat does wake me, this little one here, is I give him any comfort or reassurance he needs from my bed. I don't get up. That's my rule. I'm not going to get out of bed, because I know the moment that I do get out of bed, he'll be like, ding, I'm doing this again tomorrow. So he will meow, and I just ignore the meowing, because he's downstairs and he's just wailing, and I'm like, he's done that his whole life. It only lasts for a few minutes, and he's okay. Then he'll come and get into bed, and he'll start pawing at me. The amount of times I've had tiny little scratches where he's like boop boop boop, and then when I've not got up, he's just sort of got the claw and just sort of whoop. And I'm like, because he's getting frustrated, and he's like, why have you not woken up? So that's really annoying. But all he wants me to do is just lift up the cover, and he'll get in and get all snuggly. So that's my way of reassuring him. I'm just like, if you need something, I'm here. You can come and you can snuggle in with me, and I will stroke you, and I will I don't even talk to him because I'm sleepy, but I will reassure him that way. But I just won't get up, because I know that I don't want to get up, and I know that if I do, I'll be getting up for the rest of however long. So yeah, it's okay to reassure them from your bed if you want to. If you can call them over, you can get them in, you can hopefully settle them that way. I know that doesn't work for everybody, because your cat might not want to be settled. They might not be a snuggly lap cat. And I know that, that may potentially be rewarding in itself. So when we're saying, we don't want to reward nighttime behavior, it's still rewarding to be come and get in, come and have a cuddle, and come and get under the covers. But I think that's a good middle ground that I've found for my cat, and hopefully will work for yours as well. Because if you just cut them off cold turkey, there is a risk there that they are going to be, it's like leaving a baby to cry, isn't it? It's not advised anymore, because your baby needs you, and we don't want to teach them that I'm just not here for you at night. That's that. But in the same way, we do also want to teach them that the house is quiet. I'm not available for food, playtime, like lots of attention that way. So yeah, if you have the problem where your cat is pawing you at night, or is like really trying really hard to get you to get up, and they're so annoying with it, then I tend to think, like, put your head under the covers just for a couple of minutes, or like redirect them into something else. You can try and manage it from your bed to like stop them from doing that behavior. And like, I've clipped the end of his claws lately because I'm like, I can deal with the pawing, but I can't deal with a little claw coming out. So have a think about what they're doing in particular. If they are launching at you from the top of the wardrobe, block that off. Like, I've had cats that have dived off the back of the headboard as well and like onto the person in bed. So cover that up. Like, it doesn't need to be permanent. So just stuff a load of clothes up there or whatever, or pillows, like anything that doesn't look great, but it's going to stop that from happening. It's going to break the habit. That's going to be useful. When they stopped, you can take it all off again. So have a think about if there's ways you can manage it that way to try to make things easier on yourself. But one thing I have to say is that you must remember this, is that when you start ignoring them or you start reeling it back in and you're like, well, I'll settle you from the bed, but I'm not going to get up anymore. I'm not going to go downstairs with you. You must remember that it will get worse before it gets better. Like, that is the crux of this problem. Everybody comes to me when they've tried ignoring, the problem's got way worse, and then they've messaged me and they go, I've been dealing with this for so long, I've tried ignoring it and it didn't work. But what's happening is the curve is like this. It gets worse and then it gets better. And so they're up here and everyone's thinking, it's not working, it's rubbish, I'm going to get up again, I'm going to feed them, I'm going to have to do what I've been doing all along. So they go backwards, they don't push through. So you have to make sure they've got everything they need. Stop any sort of reinforcement unless give them a little bit to help them settle from bed, not getting up, lights off, don't chat to them, don't give them too much attention. Just have an awareness that it is going to get worse. When that does happen, think, okay, cool, we're getting there. Ride that bit out, and then the penny will drop, and they'll suddenly be like, oh, okay, fine. Like, we might as well sleep because there's nothing else happening, and you're not giving me that attention that I need. And then you will come out the other side, okay? And I think that I normally say 2 weeks as a gauge, but it can happen quicker. I've had people after 3 days be like, oh, wow, my cat is just fine now, which is always such a lovely message to get. Say, like, we slept through, it was amazing. And I've had cats after 2 weeks, it still hasn't happened, and we've had to keep going, and being like, come on, you can do this. So just keep that in mind. The fact that it will get worse, that is normal. If it doesn't get worse, then I'd question whether you're doing, like, we were on the right track. That is supposed to happen. Going forward, I would just keep in mind that, again, they are supposed to be awake sometimes at night. So if you have a sudden setback where you're like, oh no, we cracked it, now he's meowing again, just ride it out. Like, hopefully they won't wake your house up. Like, Sparks doesn't wake anyone up in my house. I don't know whether we're all just used to it now, but his meowing is so loud. I'm literally like, what is happening? But no one wakes up, and it's just a few minutes, and then he stops on his own. Like I say, like, he's not shut out. He can come to me, but it does happen every now and again, like every few months. And there's, like, I'm seeing that as a potential setback or potential opportunity for me to think, oh no, you're meowing again, do I need to get up, do I need to go down to you? No, don't do that. Just reassure them from where you are, and remember, we're making sure all their needs are covered anyway, so they don't need anything, don't want for anything, but it's all taken care of. What I would say as well is just thinking about a few cases I've had previously. Like, if you're in a situation where you can't help but get up, for example, like if you need a wee at night, if you wee quite often at night, if you need to go down for water, if you have kids that are awake, or like if you've got a baby and you need to go and do like night feeds, then this problem is much more difficult to crack, because you have to get up for whatever you need to do, and your cat will see that as something good. So it might not be an issue. Like, when I had my children, like, the cats were great for me because I'd go and do the night feeds, and the cats would just be hanging out with me, and I'd be like, yay, this is good. But in the same way, if your cat is trying to get you to get up, and then you're having to get up anyway because baby's awake, then, or you need a wee, then they're going to see that as a good thing, even though you're like, no, I'm not here for you. I'm here for whatever. So what I would say then is, if you're dealing with this issue where your cat is keeping you up at night, then don't engage with your cat more than you need to. Like, don't lavish them with attention. Don't stroke them while you're sat on the loo. Like, don't give them too much attention if this is a problem. If it's not a problem, go to town. Like, that's fine, because that's what I did and it was great. But if you know your cat's got a tendency to keep you up at night, then just get to that toilet, have that wee, get back. Like, keep the lights off if you can. Like, I don't know if that's practical, but you know, try to keep it as low key as you can, because I've worked with people in the past where we've not been able to crack it because they just can't, like, they're not in a position where they can just get into bed and stay there till morning. And so the cat is seeing that as like, oh good, you're up, and the message isn't getting through of like, I need to settle down and go to sleep. Okay, I think I've covered everything. If you're watching, do feel free to ask any questions or let me know about your cats in the comments. But this is a really common problem, and it's also so, what's the word, like, what do I mean? People don't realise how serious it is what I mean. Because if your cat's not letting you sleep at night, it affects your relationships, it affects your energy for the day, it can affect your work, it can just affect your actual mental health. And I've had people come to me to say, I'm not being dramatic, but I'm literally on the floor. Like, I can't go on like this. I've had couples who are on the verge of separation because one person wants to get rid of the cat because they can't sleep, and the other person is like, no, like, that's my cat, and like, I also can't sleep, but I don't want to do that. And it causes such massive issues. So if you are dealing with this problem, I am not underestimating how difficult it is, and I'm here to help if you need it. So if you're just joining and you have this problem, then do feel free to watch the replay because I've hopefully given you enough information to at least get going and get started and try some different things. But if you really can't crack it, then do feel free to get in touch, because sometimes you just need fresh eyes. You need someone to talk to in the morning, or you will need someone to message at 4 a.m. to say, it's still not working, it's getting worse, it's, you know, I'm still not sleeping, because I'm here for that. That's exactly what I'm here for. I'm not, like, who else is gonna be there for that? Because everyone else is, they don't understand how hard it is, do they? So anyway, do feel free to reach out if you are dealing with this problem, and check out the other stuff on my channel, because there are some other videos on there as well, which may not be as long, but do cover the same sort of info. But anyway, I will leave you for now. What else do I need to say? I've got a live tomorrow, which is a case update and just like a drop-in session for anyone that's here and wants to join the membership. That's what I'm getting to. There is a membership on my page if you want to go behind the scenes and have a proper deep dive into cat behaviour. Then that live is there for you tomorrow. I'm giving you an outline of what my cases are recently and what we did to help. But otherwise, I will leave you for now. Well, thank you for joining. It was so lovely to see everybody and for your comments, and I will catch you another day for a different video and different live. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.